Hallöchen, es geht weiter mit 101 Last Events Academy. In der letzten Folge haben wir uns entschieden, dass wir weiter für die Menschheit kämpfen. Nicht weil wir für die Menschheit kämpfen wollen, sondern weil Wäschnis uns wahrscheinlich umbringen würde. Good morning, Mr. Sumino. Hey, last night I saw Mr. Aotsuki and C-Ray sneaking around. I'm worried they might be plotting something. I thought I'd better report it to you, team leader. Now then, I have a new recipe to work on in the cafeteria. Eito und C-Ray, what are those two up to? Und jetzt haben wir für Eito Bestandteile für eine Brille geholt. Und jetzt wollte er uns das zeigen morgens in der Cafeteria. There was no sign of Eito when I got to the cafeteria. Where's Eito? Don't have me worried about him. No, not worried, just... I should he say all that just not to show up. What is he up to? By the way, Siri isn't here either. What's going on? At that very moment, Siri came into the cafeteria, leading Eito by the hand.
Yeah.
Sorry for the wait, soldiers.
Huh?
The wait for what? Why are you two holding hands? Oh my, when did you get so friendly with each other? Siri and Eito sitting in a tree. It's not like that. He's just lending me a hand, as it were. Trying to look badass with those shades, cause you look like a goof to me. Come on now. I went out of my way to make these with the Gift-O-Matic. Huh? Hold on, the Gift-O-Matic? Don't tell me go exploring so you can make a pair of sunglasses. Of course I did.
Hey!
Of course, I did all that for those. How long are you going to keep them on anyway? I already think you're adorable, so you can take them off. Should I? I don't mind, but you sure you'll be alright? Huh? What does that mean? Hey Takumi, isn't Eito acting a little strange? Not strange how? His reactions are off. Where is he looking? Hat er sich die Augen? Hey Eito?
Oh.
Yes, Takumi. Was ist da beim Sprite? Das ist blau. He's right, something is off. His reactions are clearly different from yesterday. Hard to tell with those sunglasses, but he doesn't seem to be looking me in the eye. Oh no. Eito, could you take those sunglasses off? I don't mind. I just worry you may not like what you see. With that, Eito took the sunglasses in his hand, removing them with an awkward motion. We all gasped. There was nothing behind them. Nothing at all in the place where his eyes used to be. Just two gaping black holes.
Eito, your eyes!
Yes, sorry to disturb you. I took them out.
Took them out?
Here, see for yourselves.
Eito extended a hand and sent off a palm.
I gouged my eyes out last night, all on my own.
Normal.
Pretty clean work, isn't it? I thought I'd hold on to them as a keepsake.
Like a parrot with an umbilical cord.
Ach so. What is wrong with you? You gouged out your own eyes? Eito put his sunglasses back and responded in calm tone. Exactly, so I wouldn't have to look at your ugly faces. That's the reason you blinded yourself? Why would you do that? Was looking at us that horrible of an experience? Oh yes, I couldn't stand it. Until now, I believed my eyes were righteous eyes that reflected the hideousness of mankind. But that was nothing more than a false memory, just manufactured hatred. I knew it was all a lie, but so long as I had these eyes in my head, I couldn't help but to loathe you. This was my only option to change that. Wait, so does that mean...
I'll give it to you straight. I want you to let me back on the team.
You've got to be kidding. Yeah, we're not falling for that. You're just planning on stabbing us in the back later, aren't you? Don't be ridiculous. I can't even see your back anymore. I'm supposed to laugh at that?
Yeah.
By the way, I re-registered Aotsuki in the Revival-Medic after the defensive battle the other day. I also tweaked the settings so now that when he's arrived, he'll come back exactly the way you see him now. He asked me to do that for him yesterday. That's what you were doing with him? So even if Eito gets smirked and comes back, he's not going to be able to see? This is an expression of my commitment. Now that I can't see your ugly visages, I don't have to hate you anymore. Won't you accept me as your comrade once again? I genuinely do not want to fight you. Is he being serious? But why this all of a sudden? It's not sudden at all. It's been on my mind ever since I found out the truth. Honestly, even before then, ever since Takumi spared my life and took me back. Until now, I despised all of humanity. So I kept everyone at arm's length. I even killed my own family. Or so I was made to believe. What? There's nobody that I love. As for my family, I killed them when I was a kid. I couldn't bear to be around such hideous creatures. I was made to believe that destroying mankind and all of its hideousness was my sacred duty. But it was no more than a false motive born from false memories. My hatred, my righteous eyes, all of the suffering I felt spending time around ugly human beings. Every last second of it was just a mere glitch. I can't. Being with a quivering voice, Eito dropped his eyes on the floor.
I can't stand it!
Squish. He crushed his own eyeballs with a vigorous stomp of his heels. What the hell are you doing? It's empty. I'm sure all of you did too. Despite that, you got back on your feet and started to move on, even though you were betrayed and manipulated. You decided to fight for your comrades. I never imagined I would feel this way, but it was beautiful to me. Beautiful? I had another thought too. Everything I'd seen so far was entirely surface level. It would be better for me to tear out my eyes. If I did, then I would be able to see your innate beauty. And that's why you did this. By the way, I burned out my nasal mucosa too. I wouldn't have been able to bear the stench of you otherwise. This asshole can't be serious. Honestly, I still
feel like humanity ought to be wiped out for all I care. If anything, those feelings have only grown. But I can still fight if it's for all of you. I can bear humanity's sins and fight for my beautiful comrades, who are in turn fighting for each other.
Weiß ja nicht.
It seems that although I once hated you, I've actually grown to love you.
Oh my god, you can't just confess like that. So I'll ask you once more. Allow me to rejoin the team and be your comrade. I want to fight alongside you for what little time remains. Takumi, what do we do? It's hard to think he's lying if he's so resolved that he gouged out his own eyes. This is still the person who got in bed with the enemy, you know. There's no telling how things might shake out. But it's clear now that we're not human. So what reason would Eito have to hate us? Besides me being such a dweeb, I mean. Ich meine, er hat literally gesagt, dass uns immer noch hasst und deswegen hat sich auch seine Augen ausgegoucht schon mal, ne? We're trying to save humanity, though. You cannot be serious. This freaking psycho ripped out his own dang eyeballs. If we consider our upcoming fight with Vashnis, the more fighters we have, the better. Screw that! I ain't getting behind this. I don't trust that freak. Hey now, let's not argue. How about we listen to the opinion of our team leader instead? Well, Takumi, think very hard. Whether we can really trust him. He did kill me before, apparently. I'd rather not be murdered again. I'm sure you understand. Make your decision wisely. Well, Takumi, will you let me join you? Eito betrayed us. He did nothing but deceive us the last time around. He destroyed Sire, he killed Hiroko, framed Nozomi, and in the end, he killed Shion. Und, Ima, hallo? But he's not the same person he was back then. He's different now that he knows the truth. And above all else right now, we need all of the fighting power we can get. Can I really trust him? Should we trust him? Can I really say for certain he won't ruin everything for us in the end? Nein. Part of me will ja sagen, aber ich glaube die schlaue... I don't know, er hasst uns immer noch. Tut mir leid, Eito. Warte, ich schaue kurz den Screenshot an. Also ihr werdet es nicht sehen, wenn ich mir den anschaue. Aber in der letzten Folge hatte er gesagt, zu einem defective good stand. Und das hat mich zerstört, aber... Tut mir leid. Oh, das war nicht mal absichtlich, aber das war eh die Choice, die ich machen wollte. Es tut mir leid, Eito. Aber... Sorry, Eito. Eito, but I just... Get it, you don't have to spell it out.
Huh?
What?
Oh.
My other senses have been greatly heightened now that I've lost my sense of sight. I don't know what you're going to say next just from your general vibe.
Huh.
You can also sense how agonizing this situation is for you. Oh, it is enough. You don't have to say anymore. I'm not interested in putting you in yet another painful position. Eito. Oh, good. Who could blame you for not wanting me to join, right? Those glitch memories embedded in me may have been the root cause. But it doesn't change the fact that I chose to do what I did. But you destroyed your own eyes. I did it because I wanted to, and certainly not to garner sympathy. I knew something like this wasn't going to be enough to regain your trust. I knew it wouldn't conveniently make us friends again. I knew all this. Oh no, it was... But I still couldn't stop myself from holding out hope. I lied to people on the outside, but I never lied to myself. It goes against my nature. Now that that settles, if you'll allow this public nuisance to be a hasty retreat. Retreat? Where? You're gonna leave with your eyes like that? The invaders will get you. Your ugly concern is most gratifying, but there's no need to spare me any. Like I mentioned, my other senses have been greatly heightened. I expect there's no issues handling any invaders I come across.
Oh.
Also, this won't be my first time leaving the academy. I probably know more about the outside world than any of you. Still too dangerous. Just because I don't want you back on the team doesn't mean I want to force you to leave the whole school. If you promise to stay in your cell and not interfere with any of us, you can stay. If you've forgotten, this facility was built for the Special Defense Unit. It is no place for someone who doesn't belong. Am I right, Sirei?
Yeah.
Aotsuki is correct. Anyone not recognized as an ally is naturally viewed as a dangerous element. An element that can only work to our detriment and never to our benefit. Therefore, he must leave. It makes it easier for me to get over my feelings too, now that I no longer have to put up with your unbearable voices and smell. Little piece of chicken shit, always the same right down to the end, huh? I should be responsible for seeing you off. I expect you haven't gotten used to your newfound blindness yet, and may need a little bit of help getting around. This is my duty and obligation as your commanding officer. The commanding officer has spoken. The rest of you can just stay put. Not like I could see your hideous mugs even if you did come. Besides, there's something I need to speak about in private with Sirei before I leave. With me? If you don't mind, consider it my last wish.
Yeah.
Very well, you may tell me along the way. You are still considered a member of the Special Defense Unit while on school grounds. Thank you. Very much obliged.
This is goodbye. Forever. You miserable freaks. And you may not think me sincere when I say this, but I pray from the bottom of my heart that you will win this war. Good.
After that, under Sirei's guidance, I made... Oh nein. Oh, wir lesen jetzt Eitos? After that, under Sirei's guidance, I made my way carefully through Last Servant's Academy in total darkness.
Yeah.
Oh. Here are a few days' worth of rations, as a farewell gift from me. Wow, this is surprisingly thoughtful, from someone who only cares about victory. I continued conversing with Sirei as I walked next to him in darkness. It may have been the first time he'd ever spoken in leisure. Manifestation of guilt, or embedding those glitches into my brain. Defects were inevitable. The brain, especially the human brain, is a complicated organ no one completely understands yet.
Huh?
It was no mean feat getting everyone combat ready with the limited time and resource available to us. There was no time for multiple rounds of tests or verifications, although we did conduct an endless amount of simulations. Yet even with that, out came someone like me. Haha, I don't know what to call this but destiny. After Sierra and I finished talking, I left Last Defense Academy behind. I remained cautious of my darkened surroundings as I moved through the city ruins, using my feet to feel the rubble. Even though I had proudly declared that I could handle myself. Moving around in total darkness was still rather mentally straining. Darkness. Everywhere I went, I was greeted by pure, unadulterated darkness, with not a speck of light to be found. I couldn't be sure what was on the road ahead of me. Anybody come see me off? Even though I said there was no need. Maybe someone watched me walking away from school until they could see me no more. No, that's not possible. What am I hoping for? Nobody there cares about me. I'm nothing but a traitor, back to betray. But then again, this terrible defect reflected the repulsiveness of its creator, we had mankind itself. And I was equally repulsive for allowing them to lead me by the nose all this time. By the time I realized that, it was way too late to do anything about it. I kept walking. My destination was second to Last Defense Academy. Sir had given me direction on how to get there when I left. He said it would give me a place to hide from inclement weather, that there were probably leftover rations there as well. Sir likely told the others I would be heading there. Once they learn I won't be ending up in a ditch somewhere. Those who had been even the tiniest bit concerned about my welfare would surely be able to breathe easier. Personally, I'd rather they not feel a single shred of guilt, even if anything should happen to me. They didn't chase me out. I decided on my own I would leave. Although Sierra had given me directions, wandering through the ruins of outside, I couldn't tell for the life of me whether I was going in the right direction. But if I wanted to keep going, I had to put my faith in the path I had drawn up in my mind. There was also one more thing keeping me going. I wanted to witness how things would turn out for the others on day 100. They were special to me, even if we didn't manage to become friends. For someone like me, who used to be disgusted at the mere thought of having to coexist with hideous humans. And I knew those were just fake memories implanted into me. Still, these were people with whom I had spent a staggering amount of time. Even after discovering they were actually empty inside, that everything had been built on lies. They still chose to support each other and blaze a trail through destiny. There was nothing we could trust, nobody we could lean on. Fake memories, fake goals, fake backgrounds, fake families, fake friends, fake love, and fake hatred. Empty vessels made of fabricated falsehood. That was all we were. What could such people even believe in? Yet they chose to believe in each other and to fight for each other to the end. Their revolting appearance, smell, and voices still disgusted me to no end, but the feeling of camaraderie they shared was as real as they came. Watching them had made me forget all I had done and start wishing I could be a part of that too. But they weren't naive. Gouging my eyes out as a show of my commitment was never going to be enough to convince them to let a repeat traitor like me onto the team. I had been ready to face rejection, but deep down, for just a short fleeting moment, entertained the thought that they might forgive me after all. Such an indulgent thought that was, when had I become so naive? Now was not the time to dwell on such thoughts. I had to focus on walking. I had arrived somewhere as long as I kept going. Eventually, all I could do now was to keep walking and pray that I would eventually reach the second campus. Pray? No god would listen to the prayers of an empty shell like me. Phew. Darkness clung to me. From the skies above to the ground below, all I could see was unadulterated darkness. No gradients, no flickering, just plain blackness. I read in a book that humans invented fire out of their fear of the darkness of night. When I read that, I mocked them as weaklings in my mind. The birth of fire led to the birth of war. Humans would burn themselves up in the very same fire they sought. There would have been peace had they not created such a thing and simply endured the darkness of night. How weak and hideous. I remember thinking that once. Now, however, I knew how wrong I had been. It was not that they feared the night or failed to endure the darkness. They were afraid to not have light by their side. For light represented hope itself. And these eyes of mine would never see light again. Why was I feeling sad about that? When I utterly despised everything I saw in this world. Ich kann auch nicht mal weinen. AATX. Oh, this place. After a few days of non-stop walking, I stepped into a facility that felt all too similar to me. Right, this is... It would appear that I managed to reach second to last academy after all. To be honest, I was beginning to wonder if Siri had deliberately given me the wrong direction. Guess he's not as wicked as I've imagined. I naturally drifted in the direction of the cafeteria once I was inside. The layout of the school was almost exactly the same as the other one, like I had been told. This place would shield me from the elements as I waited out the remaining days. There would be no fighting. I only had to wait here in safety until the missiles were launched and everything was over. But there were over 10 days left. I'd have to live in darkness until then. Or there was a faster way to end things. I opened the heavy bag I had been carrying and traced my finger along what was inside. Schlecht Natur, wann dir et wirklich gerhut, kennt dir et en lech selber ernähren, also lieben andut Senegal. I knew it was even enough. I couldn't see it. An undying flame bomb Siri had developed. Activated using hemoanima and powerful enough to take out even Veshness. This miniaturized version was still more than capable of reducing a human body to ashes. Skin, bones, hair, everything would disappear. If Veshness comes for you, I would like you to use this before she absorbs your cryptoglobin. That was what Siri said when he handed this to me. However, I was not able to discern his true agenda. Did he really want me to blow myself up and take out Veshness with me, or was he simply giving me a tool to euthanize myself like an animal? There you are. I ran my finger over the detonator. Everything would end if, when I pressed this button while infusing hemoanima into it, I would be freed from it all. Free from my fake memories. Sorry. False hatred and empty existence. Free from the man called Eito Aotsuki.
Press it. Come on. It's all you have to do. Why can't you just press it?
My finger wouldn't respond. No matter how loudly and harshly I berated myself. Even though I knew pushing the button was all I needed to do to be freed from this pain, I still couldn't do it. Wanting to witness how things turned out for the Special Defense Unit was merely an excuse. The actual reason I couldn't do it was because When I realized what this feeling was, I had to laugh despite myself. I was afraid, fearful, spooked, daunted, anxious, just scared stiff. Ich bereue meine Entscheidung. Eito. Death frightened me, even when I had nothing to live for. How could I not laugh at the irony of that? It was so different from a life without purpose. Yet I feared it. I put the bomb on the floor, my hands trembling. I sat down on the floor as well and leaned against the wall. As I did, the fatigue from the few days of walking got to me. I felt groggy all of a sudden. My consciousness disconnected in the silent darkness. Would it be nice if death visited me now, so that I would simply slip into an eternal slumber, never to awaken again? But no, I would never be allowed to enjoy such a peaceful end. 2 days later. What was that? An unfamiliar voice screaming. I knew something was wrong when I woke up to bed. I could always pretend like nothing had happened, but my feet were already moving in the direction of the screams. As I ran, the smell of fire was so intense, it was burning my nose. It was the stench of fighting. The screaming was coming from multiple people. Were they trying to get away from something? What? I ran into the schoolyard and focused my hearing on what was happening outside the school. Was okay? I could hear multiple sets of footsteps getting closer. Since I couldn't see their exact locations, I simply waved in the general direction of the sound. Over here! I kept waving. That seemed to work. The frantic footsteps became louder and louder. I raised my hands to indicate I wasn't holding any weapon. As I did, the approaching group stopped a distance away from me. They were panting hard, as if they'd been running for a long time. Wait a minute, who are these people? Definitely not the Special Defense Unit. Are they natives of this planet? Are you being chased? By whom? Nobody answered me. I didn't even know if we spoke the same language. Couldn't have been Takumi or the others chasing them, so invaders? You can hide here if you want. This place was destroyed a while ago. It's unlikely anyone will come looking for you here. Still no response, but I could sense they were listening to me. The cafeteria here is stocked with more than enough food for all of us. The mystery group wasn't moving at all. I didn't even hear them whispering among themselves. They were probably communicating with each other non-verbally. Or maybe they were trying to decide who will get to attack me first. After all, to the natives of this planet, I was the invader. In case you haven't noticed, I'm blind. I don't know how many of you are here and obviously won't be able to attack you. Still no response. Anyway, I'm heading back inside. Follow me if you intend to hide here. I turned my back on the mystery group and started walking. I was completely defenseless. If they killed me, they could have this hiding spot all to themselves. Yet they followed after me politely. When I staggered, they would even stop and wait outside out of consideration for me. One step at a time, I went further into the building, with a hand on the wall, taking care to use the route that could not be seen from the outside. Finally, I found myself back in the cafeteria with the mystery group in tow. This place should be safe. You can eat anything you find here. After that, I went back to my usual spot and sat down again. Huh? Where was my bag? I remember I'd left it here. I felt around the floor next to me, my hand for the bag that contained the undying flame bomb. Where was it? Where could it be? But something heavily suddenly fell into my lap. Someone placed something there. I gingerly touched it with my fingertips. It was my bag. You found it for me? my surroundings, but received no response like always. I then put the bag on my shoulders so that I would never lose it again. Leaning against the wall, I let my hearing take over. Heard the sound of rummaging for food. It didn't seem like they were interested in attacking me, for now. It was likely they would leave once the enemies that were after them went away. And I would be back to waiting for day 100 here all alone. That I could witness the ending that everyone made for themselves. Sometime later, I heard the sound of a can being opened. I guess I decided to eat the food that was here. They sat a cautious distance away, but was still close enough to keep an eye on me. I hoped they got to eat something they liked at least. Since I couldn't see, I couldn't even choose the kind of food I wanted to eat. It reminded me of the 5 cans of pickled fish I had to eat in a row last night. I inadvertently nodded off even though I hadn't been feeling particularly sleepy, and thus I fell asleep while being surrounded by an unknown number of natives. Perhaps it was because I felt no animosity from them. I could sense they were friends, as they huddled closely together to eat, and rest in this unknown place. Maybe they were sharing their favorite foods with each other. Maybe they were exchanging jokes with each other so quietly I couldn't hear. Whatever it was, the atmosphere was like an uncomfortable blanket over my body, warming me up and making me sleepy. Like something I once had myself, until a short while ago. How did I not realize sooner the beautiful thing that had been? Late that night. Huh? Somebody was shaking my shoulders. I sensed that I had been surrounded by a few people who were looking down at me. Oh, what is it?
Why are you here?
It was the voice of a child, a young girl, who seemed to be about 8 to 9. A native of this planet, a futurist child. Thinking back, I realized I had never met anyone from this planet before, either during any defensive battles nor when I was with Vashness. Had they been isolated from the war, maybe in a shelter of sorts like this Tokyo residential complex?
Why are you alone?
The girl asked again. Since she was speaking as a representative, they were likely a group of children. I could sense wariness in her tone of voice. It was as if this was a tense cross-examination and my response would determine the next course of action. Well, one thing led to another and I wasn't allowed to stay with my friends anymore. That's why I came here by myself. Why? What happened? I did something bad and ended up hurting the others. That's why I can't stay with them anymore. Upon hearing me say something bad, the girl took one step back, an astute decision. Were you forced out? No, I went away of my own free will. It's still too dangerous. Just because I don't want you back on the team doesn't mean I want to force you to leave the whole school. If you promise to stay in your cell and not interfere with any of us, you can stay. It was so like Takumi to say that. In fact, his words made me waver for a brief moment. I wanted to cling on to those words, selfishly feel like I had been forgiven. But it was pointless for me to say I don't belong there. Never, ever forgive myself for the really unforgivable to them. That's why I had to leave. You can't go back anymore? I can't go back anymore. That's why I'm here. What about you? Were you being chased by something? At that, I could hear murmuring from behind the girl. They seemed to be discussing whether or not to reveal the answer to me. We can't go back either. Why not?
Because we broke our promise.
She sounded so very sad. I didn't know what the other futurists looked like, having only seen the commanders. But it seemed like they felt sadness the same way we did. What promise did you break? We were told not to go outside, but we all went anyway because we thought we'd be okay. But we got lost and ended up in an unfamiliar place. Monsters kept chasing us, and we got farther and farther from home.
Huh.
That was how you ended up here. I think she must have nodded. There were other civilians living on this planet besides the commanders and invaders. At the very least, these children probably had nothing to do with the war. Since they were being pursued, they were likely targets as well. They were targets even though they had no way of fighting back, unlike us.
Huh.
We don't know how to go back. No? There should be a map somewhere in this facility. If you can find it, you may be able to find the way back home. I wish I could help you look for it, but as you can see, I won't be very helpful in that department. So feel free to look for it yourself. Children other than the girl in front of me immediately scattered about in all directions. Be taking my advice to look for the map. In a map somewhere around, since the maps were indispensable for warfare. They would surely find one if they split up. Once they did, they were likely to depart by tomorrow, leaving me alone here, wait for the end by myself. I heard a soft thud next to me, an indication that the girl in front had moved to sit down next to me. Huh? She was so close that I could touch her if I just stretched my hand out. You're being way too trusting here, Missy. Or she felt like I posed no danger because I couldn't see.
No chance of forgiveness.
Huh? Oh, you mean me? Yeah, aren't you sad you can't go back? Es tut mir leid, Eito. Wirklich. It's too late for me. Why? Why? Good question. Because the mistake I made was too big to be atoned for. Nobody will forgive me. That's why I can't go back. Okay. She started chomping down ravenously on an open can of food. Most likely, these children simply wanted to take a peek at what was going on outside, and not planned to end up so far away from home. Possibility of not being able to make it back would have never occurred to them, since they broke their promise to the adults out of mere curiosity.
Maybe we won't be forgiven too.
She wondered out loud as she ate her food. Not being able to make it back home was not the only worry on these children's minds. They also feared that, like me, they wouldn't be allowed back into the fold again. I could immediately think of a number of encouraging statements I had gleaned from the books that I had read. But then I would be lying to them, something I was averse to doing to these children. However, that also meant I now had nothing comforting to say to her, being somewhat unforgiven myself. In the end, I simply kept quiet, and she too said nothing more after that. When the children who had gone searching returned, they huddled back together. Their whispering voices eventually became softer and softer until everyone fell asleep. A hand on the bump on my lap, I eventually drifted into slumber as well. Next morning.
Wake up!
Jolt awake when I felt my arm being tugged on. What happened? Come with us! The children were already awake, but something was clearly wrong. They were as panicked as they had been when they first came here. They pulled me outside, second of last Defense Academy. Ich sehe nichts, da ist eine Person. I also felt the wind on my skin. I could also smell the scent of blood mixed with it. Look here! I'm sorry, but I can't see. Felt her hand had been pulling me along, suddenly let go, as she had forgotten that I was blind. Nearest grab what's going on. Monsters are coming this way. I think they've realized there are people here. How many? Too many to count. Some of the children were shouting while others were trying to calm themselves down. Some started crying and others got angry. Nobody had expected this to happen. They left their home without thinking too deeply about the consequences. It likely never crossed their minds that leaving was tantamount to breaking their promise. Now they regretted it. They wished they had never left. Now that they were facing the grim reality of death, they were starting to give up. They resign themselves to the possibility that they might die without ever being forgiven. Did you find it? What? The way home. Yes, we found the map. But there's no point. We still can't go back. Why not? Because of the monsters? Or because you might not be forgiven for breaking your promise? No answer. Perhaps it was a little bit of both. How about this? I'll hold those monsters back and you guys run away once you find an opening. It isn't going to work. You can't fight. Hey, you give me too little credit. I'm actually pretty strong. I even have a weapon. But you can't see. Works somehow. Anyway, can you do what I just said?
But we broke our promise. Everyone must be so mad at us.
The sound of rumbling and stomping became louder and louder, even as we spoke. I didn't need to use my enhanced hearing to know this was clearly a large army. Not as many as the ones we face in our defensive battles, but more than enough to cause a group of helpless children to despair. Time was quickly running out. I had to convince these children to flee right now. Listen, I won't say everything will be fine. That'd be really irresponsible of me, as I had no idea if you will be forgiven for what you did. Instead, I'll tell you something I want you to remember. Words from the bottom of my heart. From a person whose life is based on made-up memories, goals and grudges. Feelings I hadn't been able to convey until now.
Forgiveness isn't something dispensed on the spot, but based on the actions you choose to take after the mistake. So the most important thing is, what will you do from now on?
So,
if you want forgiveness, work hard to gain it, instead of dwelling on your mistakes, while there's still time for you to redeem yourself.
What do we do from now on?
took out my infuser and drove it into my chest. There were likely no commanders among the approaching swarm. To take a group of minions by myself. Now, go!
But what about you?
I said go! I shouted at them angrily. The girl bolted at my command and the other children quickly followed. Their little footsteps eventually faded into the distance. Good, get as far away as you can. This strategy of mine wouldn't work otherwise. The next thing I heard was heavy stomping, indicating the invaders were marching ever closer. I gripped my weapon tightly and waited for them to get close. They would be pleasantly surprised to find me here. It was quite likely they would prefer to hunt a planet invader like me over native children. The children wouldn't be pursued. They would be safe as long as I could keep the enemies here. Well, here goes nothing. Ha! He gets the map. Oh, skirk. I could sense my class weapon tearing the enemy apart with that swing. Good, let me follow that up with right, left, front, back. The invaders started taking non-stop. Whenever I felt something hit my body, I would swing my weapon in that direction. It worried because it guaranteed I would hit something. I kept repeating this while moving around. However... well, this was a shame. I thought I would have lasted longer than this. I had underestimated the sheer force of their numbers. The school invaders lunged at me once I left myself open after an attack. My glass armor protected me, but it had its limits. Since my data had been removed from the Rivomatic again, I would be killed for real if I continued fighting, but I couldn't let them kill me. They would continue chasing the children if they did. I had to take out every last invader here, and now if I wanted children to be safe. But why? Just my pride, I suppose. Even I had my pride. Ending a defective life by using it to protect someone else wasn't that bad of an idea. Although my efforts to gain forgiveness came a tad bit too late. I was still a former member of the Special Defense Unit. That said, I also knew I was fighting a losing battle. At my current strength, I couldn't fight this many enemies at once. I couldn't even be proper bait or stall for a time. Only one thing left to do then. Bunk. Gah! Clang. A concentrated attack knocked my glass weapon out of my hand. Now you've done it. But, thump, clang, clang, clang. Invaders surrounded me, now defenseless, and started battering me with all their might. Excruciating pain rippled through my body. Despite the protection of the glass armor, I thought I might lose consciousness before death paid me a visit. The weight on top of me became heavier and heavier. More and more invaders piling on me, so that they might kill me. That'll do. That'll do just fine. It's time.
It's time.
Click. I reached inside the bag I'd been shielding with my body and touched the button that would detonate the bomb. Eito. Eito. Eito?
Huh?
The answer to your question is yes, that is indeed possible. But what would even be the point? Very well, I assume I get to choose which memories to implant. Even though all that does is deepen the emptiness in your heart. Well, I certainly won't stop you if that is what you want. I would have preferred for you to become a proper war asset instead of whatever this is.
Yeah.
That is my honest opinion. I asked Ray for a favor back then. He took me to an infirmary and carried out the requested procedure. Memory manipulation. At first, I thought about asking him to erase all of my memories. Everything would be gone. Sadness, anger, remorse, everything. But it was only right for me to die as my own self. My own buggy, corrupted, defective self. I was the burden, and I had to bear until the bitter end. So I made that selfish request. Non-existent memories. Oder Starobi. Und Kioschker. Kurara war sowieso da, aber darum in Kioschker. Und da ist er. Da ist Eito. Nein. Und nicht mehr, das ist zu viel. Memories of me having a great time with everyone. Being aware of the duplicity of these memories, that they were all lies. Yet here I was right now, surrounded by the warmth and happiness I expected.
Takumi. Everyone. It's unfortunate. I won't get to witness how things turn out for you. But I'm praying for your victory.
Eito.
No. Actually, I'm praying for your happiness.
Eito.
From the bottom of my heart.
Best Commune. Hier sind die Commander. Eito. Eito. Reset, goodbye, Eito. Ich glaube, das war goodbye, Eito. Multiple Eitos. Even Battles Conspiracy, Casual, and Box of Blessings, He Cult of Takumi, Bashness, Coming of Age, Red Snom, SF, Romance, Slasher, Comedy, Killing Game, Mystery Round. Okay. Das war das goodbye, Eito? Eito. Oh nein. Tut mir so leid. Hätte gedacht, er bleibt bei uns. Eito. Oh nein. Aber wirklich, ich liebe dieses Spiel. Das ist super. Aber hab gerade Kira geschrieben, Credits rollen, ich bin am Heulen. Ja. Das ist gerade schlimmer als Round Zero, glaube schon. Ich glaube, ich brauche eine kleine Pause. Irgendwie eine Woche Last Defense Academy Pause oder sowas. Oh Gott. Eito. Was ich auf jeden Fall sagen will, ich liebe dieses Spiel. Es wird wahrscheinlich eines meiner Lieblingsspiele aller Zeiten werden. Es wird auf jeden Fall Honorable Spiel, was ich auch mentionen will an der Stelle, ist Nier Replicant. Also beziehungsweise Replicant ist das Remake, Remaster. Ich hatte vor dem Remake noch ganz Nier gestallt, Playthrough angeschaut. Ich habe auch noch eine Kopie bei mir rumliegen. Ich habe keine Playstation. Aniplex Tokyo Games. Shoutout. Ushikoshi, you really did it. Credit summer. Goodbye, Eito. Praying for your happiness. Wow. Override to save. Oh. Ah. Etwas. Oh, hier ist der Splitter. Oh, oh, wir können hier unsere Decision. Das hier ist. Warum ist da ein Lock? Continue to fight abandoned humanity. Oh. Das sind die Choices. Okay, okay, okay. Ich checke. Kill Eito, yes. Weiß ich ja nicht. I get. Also, ich werde in der nächsten Folge dann weitermachen mit Allow Eito to rejoin the team. Und wir sehen uns dann beim. Obwohl, ich gehe schon mal hin. Before Decision. Eito. Aha. Ich werde ihn akzeptieren. Also, wir sehen uns dann beim nächsten Mal. Und tschüss.